I thought the British Bigfoot phenomena was it was like a mythical beast, like the woodwows that I'd heard of, like the Green Man. I didn't believe there were any modern reports. I've heard one or two newspaper reports that were the normal Daily Star or Sun imagining something, and then I discovered this research community. I discovered this famous map full of all of these sightings and all of these different witnesses that were coming forward. And what they appeared to be describing was something that was similar to the American Sasquatch. Smaller, perhaps, between 5 to 7 feet, not as large as the Sasquatch, and somewhat similar to the Russian Almasty, which seems to have more of a Neanderthaloid description to it, yet still very hairy, very well built. And for all intents and purposes, it's a Bigfoot in everything but name.
Hi guys, thank you for joining me back here again, as always on the 401 Files. It's an absolute pleasure to bring each and every one of you back out here with me. I've brought you to a very special place today. Today we are deep in the North Yorkshire moors. This is a location that I've brought you guys with me many times before in previous videos, and there's good reason for that. The North Yorkshire moors is a hotspot for UFO activity, as well as wildman sightings and just cryptids in general. We've got the cameras packed, I've got a packed lunchbox with me. Let's get out of the car, start hitting the trail and see what we can find. Stick around to the end guys, grab yourself a coffee, relax and enjoy this one.
Well, it's small by plane, but it's really pretty large by foot. You know, so this is, if you're walking anywhere in this country, it's prime habitat. You know, it's populated sparsely by villages and towns. We have large amount of rabbits and deer and sheep and all kinds of things that this thing could survive on. The issue we have is not really whether we have the habitat to support such an animal, but whether such an animal exists at all, and if so, does it exist here?
I've got that really strong feeling of being watched today. I don't know why that's come about, but I don't always get that when I go out. I've done this a million times before, I don't always get that. For some reason today, I'm not sure whether it's because the wind's howling through the trees and it's pouring down with rain, just adds that eerie element to it. I'm not sure, but just have a really weird feeling I'm being watched. Maybe it's because the trees are so close together in this part of the forest that I can't see a great distance in front of me. I'm not really sure, but you know that feeling when you feel like any minute now you're going to see something that maybe you shouldn't be seeing? Every corner you go around there's going to be something there waiting for you. That's kind of how I feel right now, so maybe just need to try and shake that off. I'm starting to think that there's a huge misconception when it comes to exploring or investigating, gaining evidence, whatever you want to call it, on these topics that we love, such as Bigfoot, Sasquatch, UFOs, extraterrestrials, etc. And just through my own observations, like on YouTube and the internet in general, what I've seen is that people seem to believe those guys who head out with all this equipment are somehow more tangible than people like myself who just get boots on the ground and head out looking for these things or traces of these things with a camera. And I think that's wrong, because if we look back through previous encounters and we listen to some of the stories retold by those people who had experiences, these are just your average day Joes that were off in a creek fishing that day and happened to see a Bigfoot. This was just your average Joe walking through the woods with his dog, turned a corner and saw a UFO hovering 6 feet off the ground. These people didn't plan to go out that day and find a Bigfoot or see a UFO. They just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And for me, I think that that is the best method. Just get boots on the ground, grab your camera, head out there, know what you're looking for to start with, and go do it. We don't know enough about these things, the UFOs, extraterrestrials, Bigfoot, to say what works best or what doesn't work best, what is the right way, what is the wrong way. For all we know, an infrared camera could actually hinder us. We don't know what they can see and what they can't see, so it's all trial and error at this point until we know a bit more about these things. And I think that to say a guy like me getting out here with just a camera isn't really researching isn't a fair shake, so. One of the many things that fascinated me when I first got into this phenomena and wanted to get out there and investigate for myself, look for signs of these reported sightings, and we do have sightings, many of them, thousands every year keep coming in. But the main thing that interested me was, how can everybody be wrong, and what are these people misidentifying what they're seeing with? There's nothing that even comes remotely close to it. We live on a small island, the UK is an island, and we have a limited amount of native species that could even closely resemble what these people are seeing. Now, you can't misidentify it for a badger or a deer or a fox because they just aren't walking upright and running on two legs. There's thousands of birds in the UK that you could misidentify, but a naked man covered in hair, walking on 2 feet, walking in the wild, how do you misinterpret that, and what for? I don't believe everybody can be wrong. I believe that a lot of these cases, and there is thousands of them, like I said, each and every year coming forward, most of which do describe a very similar type being, I don't believe they can all be wrong. I believe that some of them can be ID'd away, but I think that the majority of them, there is no way you could misidentify that for anything other than a wild man.
Is it pure coincidence that every other culture has a green man, a bogeyman, often that steals and kidnaps women and children and takes them into the caves, never to be seen again? And it's no coincidence that this is happening all over the world. These sorts of stories, always with the same description of these upright, bipedal, hairy hominids, primates, or whatever they were, whatever they are. I just think it's not a coincidence, that.
Would it be naive for people to believe that we know of everything here in the UK, there is no more species to be discovered, and if there was, we would have discovered it by now because we're just a small island? Is that a naive way of thinking? I believe so, because people do assume that we are this small island. People do assume that we're this tiny island that you can just walk probably from one end in a day or two. You can't. In terms of islands, we are an island, but we're a big island. We're only small when you compare us to places like the Pacific Northwest, Canada, Australia and Russia, places like that. But we can't forget that at one point in time, the UK was attached to many of these different places via a land bridge. Now the question we're left with is, what was left behind? Is it still walking on this island? And can it remain hidden?
And I think surrounding yourself with the right type of people, skeptics if you like, and people with opposite mindsets, can be very good for a researcher. And sometimes what you get out of those relationships, it isn't always great, because you have to confront some of your own, you have to confront those biases and accept that you might be wanting to believe this just a little bit too hard. If you're a witness, that's a different kettle of fish, because you've seen what you've seen. For a researcher, yes, we want to believe it, but we have to be careful just how hard we and how hard we push these things.
And so now, as I'm walking through the forest, it's clearly obvious to me that the terrain has changed once again from a few minutes ago when I was walking through the lush green grassy area to where I'm stood right now, because all around me, and in fact in front of me, are tree structures, stick structures, and just general trees that have fallen in weird formations. This is something that's hugely associated with the wild man and Bigfoot phenomenon all around the world. People believe that there is a wild man, there is a Bigfoot creating these stick structures or tree formations as a way to navigate, but also maybe a way to mark territory. Now, I think that Andy Mcgrath says it best. Andy Mcgrath is a UK author of a book called Beasts of Britain. And what Andy says is that finding weird stick structures out in the forest is only evidence of trees. Now, Andy's not suggesting that there isn't a wild man or a Bigfoot out there creating these formations. He's simply saying that unless we can tie everything together, i.e. the fecal matter, the possible prints, the hair samples, and DNA, if it presents itself, along with these tree samples, then that's all we've got, is evidence of trees. That's something really interesting to think about.